I spent the last 11 months on, of course, establishing myself in the role as CHRO in the business, but also ensuring that P&C starts to support the business on the journey. We have quite an aggressive growth ambition in capital, and we are looking to double, if possible, within the strategy period. So, of course, I need to ensure that as a support function, we can facilitate the business. But one thing that does stay is that we deal with humans, right? And humans will continue to have the same needs, maybe in a different way, but it will not go away that people overall have the same needs as an employee and as a person, right? And I think we will continue to have the job of supporting our people in their journey on their careers, both privately, but also, of course, as an employee. Main focus is actually to see how can we ensure that we can develop the current workforce into the new opportunities they will be having, and how do we make it visible to them what the development opportunities are, how do we facilitate the process of succession and sharing talent and growing talent, and we actually take rather large batches every year of interns and student workers, larger than I've ever seen in other companies. And we are utilizing that knowledge in the organization, just as well as we keep people for long. So we have people with really long seniority. We also have quite a big pool of young talent, because we truly believe that they bring something to the company.
First of all, thank you for listening to our Steps podcast, and apologies that I interrupt this episode. I promise to keep it short, but it's quite important, and I need your help, please. I've been publishing these podcast conversations for 2 years now, and I see from the statistics that many of you are listening to my podcast on Spotify or Apple, and some of you are watching on YouTube. Thank you for that, and I hope you enjoyed the episode so far. I plan on making more episodes, but in order to do so, as I'm a one-man show, I would like to ask for your help, please. It doesn't cost you anything except for maybe 1 minute of your time. Please subscribe to my podcast on Apple or Spotify and subscribe to my YouTube channel. With your subscriptions, I will be able to reach more listeners, which in turn helps me get further interesting guests for you to listen to. So if you will, it's a win-win. Subscribe, and if you want, you can also leave a like or a comment, or tell me if there's anyone you want me to speak to in one of my episodes. Thank you so much for your support, and now let's start the next episode. Accepting her first CHRO appointment in a new company and new business 11 months in. How does the experience compare to expectations? What is different becoming the CHRO from being a senior leader in HR? And what are the most urgent tasks to focus on? What a great point in time for a sit-down and conversation. Welcome to another Employee Experience Apps podcast from the Munich Podcast studio. Employee Experience Apps podcasts are about HR tech, employee experience, shared services, and other interesting topics around HR at the workplace. We continue our most successful season so far from the Workbook of an HR leader, where I am talking to experienced colleagues in our field about their daily working routine and what and how they are going about the various challenges they have to face each day. I'm a tireless believer that we can all be better if we learn from each other, but there are not many opportunities to actually do that. Yes, there are conferences, but how often can you attend one in a year? Yes, there are peer-to-peer connections, but how many do you manage to keep running? I'm a firm believer that we can all do a better job if we learn from each other. And so I am inviting seasoned HR experts from various fields and companies to tell us about their workday and how they go about the challenges of today. I was waiting 11 months to record today's episode, as my guest had just decided to change employers and step up the final step in the HR career ladder, accepting an offer for a CHRO position. When we started to talk about having her on my podcast, talking about her experience. But today is the day, and I'm excited to speak with Sofie March Raven, CHRO at Kamstrup. Sophie and I go way back and have managed to stay connected and have regular exchanges over the years. I always value connecting with her, and I'm really excited to have our latest conversation recorded. Sophie is not an HR practitioner by education. She started out in business before turning to the dark side. Just joking. And her deep experience across multiple companies, HR and non-HR career stations makes her a great fit for the role she is in now. And so, after almost a year in role, I was keen to understand more. And it's truly interesting to get her perspective. We talked about what is as expected, what is different, and how is she approaching this career step. And of course, we talked about experience, technology, and AI. But let me pause here. Listen for yourself. Meet Sophie, CHRO at Kamstrup. Hello, Sophie. It's so great to have you on today. I'm really excited to speak to you again, but after a long time and in a new role. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you. And thank you for having me again. I've been looking forward to it, Volker.
Of course, you know it. I'm always looking forward to talking to you. And if we can then record it, it's even better because the audience also has something of it. Sophie, it's as I said, right? It's not the first time that we are talking, but many exciting things have happened since we last spoke, and I'm really excited because what you have to share is always very insightful, and with your new experience, I think there's even something more and interesting in for my audience. But before we go there, as always, for the ones who don't know who Sophie is, who are you? What's your background? And how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Sofie Riven, and I'm right now heading up the CHRO role in a company called Kamstrup. We produce meters, meters for heat cooling, meters for water, and meters for electricity. And we are a Danish company have headquarters in Jutland in Denmark, but we also cover pretty much 80 countries globally.
Wow.
We have employees on our own in 25, and then still growing in many markets. Our biggest site outside Denmark is in US, but we also are really strong in both Europe and Asia.
Fantastic.
So I've been here now 11 months,
Yeah.
so almost a year.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I've taken on the role in the top management, so the CHRO role. I grew up through PNC in different global companies. Most recently, I was head of global operations in Vestas, produces wind turbines, for those who don't know that. So in the renewables. And I've also been with Grundfos, produce pumps. So also in the water treatment industry, like I am right now.
There's a theme.
It's a theme. I think in general, the transition, the green transition, is really motivating and interesting
Yeah.
for me. I had a small detour between joining Pandora, which is fast moving consumer goods, right? It's jewelry, in the global role in their EMEA headquarter in out of Hamburg, actually.
Nice.
So originally I trained to be an economist, and I worked for 7 years in economy, and then by coincidence I joined HR, and that's many years ago.
We have assimilated you.
Yeah, exactly. I never looked back after that.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic, Sophie. That's fantastic. And as one can imagine, you have seen a lot in your many roles in
Mm.
across your professional HR life. And when you think about your current role, how would you characterize it? What is the main focus of your role today? What is it where, from an HR perspective, Construct needs you and needs HR to play?
Mm. So I've taken an approach to the CHRO role in Kamstrup, and defines basically my role as being centered around three jobs, you could say. One is, of course, I'm business partnering to the CEO. And I spend a lot of time with him, sparring, coaching, making sure that he also has the best opportunities to be successful. Because if our CEO is successful, then the entire company is doing better, right? So I spend a lot of energy on that specific topic, making sure that he has all the best conditions to be successful in his role, and also, of course, working with him in his leadership. And the other topic that I center my work around is being member of the senior leadership team, so the executive team. The PNC role in Kamstrup sits in the top
Hmm.
team together with
Great.
the three BU SVPs,
Yeah.
our head of sales, and of course our CFO.
CFO.
So that is the executive team, and that gives PNC a huge mandate,
Yeah.
of course, that I am in that team. But it also requires quite some time to sit in the executive team. I spend maybe a third of my time participating in in um, in meetings or activities running the business, not
Hmm.
just PNC, but
Hmm.
the business as such. And the rest of the time, of course, I spend on leading PNC. And that, of course, also requires a lot of energy and time. We're on a transformation.
Hmm.
PNC is right now going from having been fairly operational,
Hmm.
supporting operational tasks
Hmm.
like payroll and recruitment, talent programs, young talent,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
Uh, and I made a transformation of the PNC organization onto more being able to scale with the company.
Mm.
So we have a structure with, of course, still an operations team,
Yeah.
but now we also have true business partner teams that are fairly strategic.
Hmm.
And they're set up to cover the matrix We're a matrix
Yeah.
organization like everybody else. And I, of course, installed the business partner team to ensure that they can support that matrix and talk to the built-in dilemmas and conflicts that are always in a matrix, and the business partners are set up to support the business
Yeah.
leaders on that.
Yeah.
We have two COEs now, a global talent and leadership
Hmm.
COE and a reward COE that also supports the organization and, of
Mm.
course, provides the business partners and operations with both governance, programs, tools, guidance in order for us to ensure that we can scale through that.
Fantastic.
So I spent the last 11 months on, of course, establishing myself in the role as
Yeah.
CHRO in the business,
Yeah.
but also ensuring that PNC starts to support the business on the journey. We have quite an aggressive growth ambition in
Nice.
Capsule, and we are looking to double, if possible, within the strategy period. So, of course, I need to ensure that as a support function, we can facilitate the
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
in that. Yeah.
That's amazing, Sophie. That's amazing. Many questions come to mind. I mean, definitely, it's an easy one for me to imagine you being in the leadership team and you being the business partner to the CEO because of with your background, not only in HR but in the business.
Mm.
That is great. But you're also saying you have established, on the levels below, basically the business partnering
Mm.
for the first time.
Yes.
How is this welcomed or accepted or taken by the business itself? Are they embracing it? Are they questioning what this is about? How is this going?
I feel quite lucky because there's more pull than push in Kamstrup. They were really asking for this.
Brilliant.
And the way I've done it, of course, this different functions in Kamstrup have different needs. Some have all the blue colors, some have all the R&D functions,
Yeah.
some are very global, like sales.
Mhm.
So what I actually did was that I kind of assessed what are the capabilities needed in the different functions, and
Mhm.
then I recruited business partners
Mhm.
who kind of have the experience and have already seen where I would like us to go, so they
Mhm.
can take both the business but also PNC with them on that journey,
But that,
so I don't
yeah.
have to be everywhere. So you could say that the business partner team have been recruited to be my prolonged arm in the business and support both me and PNC and the business on that journey. And they are really welcomed. They are included in everything, and sit as well as I sit in the senior leadership team.
Mhm.
They also sit in the functional leadership teams as a permanent member in with the other leaders in the team.
Yeah. Not fantastic. Talking about you being a new CHRO, 11 months you said. And I remember when we talked about it, when it was, fresh that you have decided to take on that role, amazing time. But when you think back now, those 11 months or even, a bit longer, and what your expectations were versus how now after 11 months that role feels to you and what it is made up of. Was it as expected? Is it different than expected? How is it comparing?
It is more than I expected, I would say,
But with your
and
smile, I
I
think in a
really
positive
love the
way.
role.
Yeah.
Absolutely in a positive way. I really thrive in that role, and I think before taking on the role, I knew that it would, of course, be very strategic,
Yeah.
and even more strategic compared. Even if I've had really strategic roles, also in my past, I did know that being in that top senior leadership team will make a difference. But I
Mhm.
think in my mind, I was very much focusing on the PNC
Mhm.
organization and how that would play a role in this, and what my role would be in making the PNC organization successful. And I think if there were any surprises, then it is maybe how much time I'm spending on business activities.
Mhm.
I really love it and I really want to do it. So
Mhm.
it's only a positive thing to me. But I think the surprise is maybe that it is more than I expected.
Mhm.
I need to constantly balance being in the business and being in PNC
Yeah.
and being together with our CEO.
Yeah. Amazing. You talked already about, your people and culture organization and that you have two COEs, business partners, but how overall do you have it structured? How does the team reporting to you look like? How does the rest of your PNC organization look like?
So I decided to have the COE leaders
Mhm.
reporting directly into me,
Mhm.
and also the head of operations.
Mhm.
Those are my core leadership team members.
Mhm.
And then I have the business partners. And for now, I've decided also to have the business partners reporting directly into me
Wow.
because
Mhm.
they are supporting the SVPs directly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I am right now driving the transformation both in
Mhm.
PNC
Mhm.
and into the business. And in that process, it's beneficial for the business partners also to be part of this direct leadership team.
Yeah.
It is a little bit big, and right now it's fine, but of course, looking into a growth journey, we might have to revisit it at some point in time.
Yeah.
But right now, it makes a lot of sense to me to have it that way.
Yeah, fantastic. And what are you thinking then about having business partners reporting into the business, or how are you potentially
I'm
thinking about
maybe
it?
more
Yeah.
thinking about having business partners also established as a team, maybe
Yeah.
with a lead.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that could
Yeah.
potentially over time
Yeah. Yeah.
become relevant. Yeah.
That's cool. And your operations, how are they structured? It's one team, I understand, but are
Yeah.
they underneath still structured in a more traditional way, or are you having set up, a shared service organization? How did you structure your operations team?
So we're still a little bit small also compared to what I came from.
Mhm.
Kamstrup has a little shy of 2,000 employees. So we are still, of course, and PNC in total are 35
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so you could say the operations team is still structured with one lead of admin,
Mhm.
uh, including reception, etc. And then we have a recruitment team.
Mhm. Mhm.
And also included in the operations is our analytics and our CSR
Yeah. Yeah.
person supporting both the reporting and also the initiatives. We have a quite a social profile, you could say. So
Okay.
we also
Okay.
have quite a lot of employees on the
Yeah.
edge of the work, and supporting them to become members of the workforce.
Yeah.
And I have two people actually also working directly with that.
Nice.
And on top of that, then I have a consultant team supporting primarily the business partners
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
everything that can be standardized, globalized, and
Mm,
come into
mm,
a firm
mm.
process. They are supporting that. Right now, they all are in one operations
Mhm.
team,
Mhm.
But as we grow, we might also look into maybe having leaders, more leaders in that area. But right now, it's one team.
Very interesting. And the team
Mm.
is supporting across the globe for all of the different operations. You just had the US where you are big,
Yes.
home, and the other 23
Yes.
countries. Yeah.
Most of the HR organization still sits in Denmark, also
Mm,
because we have the entire leadership team still in
of
Denmark, but
course.
we are becoming much more global. And
Yeah.
we have a tech hub in Malaga in Spain.
Ah,
And I
interesting.
have yeah, and I have people there. And then of course, in the US organization, we have it's a full scale. We have a factory there. The
Mm,
only factory we have outside of Denmark
mhm,
is there.
mhm.
And then of course the sales organization and development. So I have a small team there also, with an HR lead.
Very interesting.
Mm.
This is interesting. That's really cool. Yeah, and when I then think about the main topics besides the HR transformation that you are undergoing are probably then stabilizing the workforce and increasing the workforce, right?
Exactly. And also ensuring right now our main focus is actually to see how can we ensure that we can develop the current workforce
Yeah,
into the new
yeah,
opportunities
yeah,
they will
yeah.
be having, and how do we make it visible to them what the development opportunities are, how do we facilitate the process of succession and sharing talent and growing talent. And Capstop has a history of allowing people to stay but move around, so you don't have to necessarily move to another company to develop also into new areas. And
Mhm.
of course, we need to ensure that we can facilitate that also globally,
Yeah, absolutely.
maybe specifically globally.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really exciting agenda. I always love growth companies and
Mm.
growth strategies because there's so much you can do about it. There's so much creativity you can bring into it. It's amazing. That's really great.
It is. It is.
And Sophie, how do you go about decision making in your organization, particularly in the PNC organization? Is it in the leadership team? Is it separated each of the different streams? Is it consolidated with you? How do you go about decision making?
I think it's fair to say that my organization came from a situation where decision making was at the top.
Okay.
And I am trying to push it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to equip my team to be able to make the decisions without
Mhm.
involving me to a large extent. And that, of course, requires that they have enough information to make those decisions, that we have a good governance so that the decisions become much more easy. They know where kind of, you could say, the guardrails are. What can
Mhm.
I decide? What can I not decide? And what makes sense to the business if I decide something. So I spend a lot of time trying to equip them to make the decisions, but
Yeah.
I am looking to push the decisions at least to my direct reports
Mm.
and preferably to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the more people can make their own decisions in the best way, the smoother we are in our operations, right?
Yeah, not only that, right? That also increases the empowerment, which should increase the engagement, and you get
Exactly.
a diversification of decision making, right? And then you can
Yeah.
feel and get the full breadth of your talents, and not only the one person at the top. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm not
Exactly.
surprised about that, Sophie. This is what I would have
Yeah.
imagined, but I think it's important to show and to talk about this because there are
Yeah.
still, um, for multiple reasons, many leaders in HR, but also outside HR, who take the decision making top down, who believes I am the lead of this function or the lead of this team, so I need to take the decision.
Yeah.
No, and you don't even need to
No,
be
no,
the
no.
one who has the most knowledge.
Exactly. And also looking into how my role is composed,
Yeah.
it if I want to be efficient in juggling both all three of my
Yeah,
roles,
yeah,
people around me need to have that mandate to make those
of course.
decisions. And I think it's also about it's of course about engagement, but it's also about scalability, and
Mhm.
it's about I come from really large global companies, and most really large global companies are very corporate
Yeah.
and are very strict governed,
Mhm.
of course, because we need to ensure that things don't go wrong. And what happens when you have that governance, it tends to also overtake most processes and decision processes.
Mm.
And we have a size where we can install a good global governance.
Mhm.
We're big enough to have real processes
Mm.
across the workforce
Yeah.
and the leaders.
Yeah.
But we also have a size where we can actually afford to be a little bit pragmatic
Yeah.
sometimes. And I think to make that easier for leaders and employees to be in,
Yeah.
I kind of try to install the mindset in my team that we need to ensure that no one feels treated unfair,
Yeah.
and that everybody has the same opportunities, maybe not equal, but all or maybe not same but equal
Same but equal. Yeah.
opportunities. Exactly.
Mhm.
And for us to do that, we also sometimes need to make a judgment call. And I really want my team to be able to do
Mhm.
that, because I think it's also more motivating for employees in the rest of the organization if they can feel that the processes P&C come with make sense,
Yeah.
and they ensure that I'm treated fairly, not because I sit close to headquarters or
Mm.
close to the
Mm.
CEO
Mm.
or
Mm.
know someone, that I have better
Mm.
opportunities than other people. That's really important for me. And in order for that to happen, the PNC team really also need to make those judgment
Yeah.
calls sometimes. And I try to encourage them and equip them to be able to do that.
Amazing. And how is it on the other side, your boss? If you think about your boss, how how does your boss assess you? How does this how are you assessed in terms of uh, being, good, or improvement opportunities in your space, in your area? What are the KPIs or the areas your boss is looking for to assess you?
Of course, I'm given targets as everybody
Mm.
else, but of course, what he's looking for me to do is to ensure that the PNC organization, of course, supports the
Yeah.
business. He doesn't want any noise because PNC isn't delivering
Yeah.
or are prohibiting things
Yeah.
to happen that
Yeah.
should be happening.
Yeah.
Then he's looking also to me to facilitate the senior leadership team
Mhm.
as a
Mhm.
team,
Mhm. Mhm.
and ensure that I take my role as his business partner and as a team member to ensure that that team is really coherent.
Mhm.
And we actually spend a lot of time together to ensure that trust is high and the collaboration is high in that team. And he is, of course, looking for me to take that role
Yeah.
and spare with him, but also take my role in it. And then he, of course, assesses me in my ability to help him
Mhm.
become more successful.
Yeah.
It's not the words he's using, of course. But it is basically what
Yeah.
I'm here for,
Yeah, of
right? To
course.
ensure that he has information, that he has support on decisions he needs to make.
Mhm.
Also, sometimes just fixing things for him. Of course, that's also a business partner's role. But that is how he assesses me. But he focuses extremely much on the team
Mhm.
collaboration in the
Great.
senior leadership team. And I think it's fair to say that there is a very high level of trust and collaboration in the senior
Yeah.
leadership
Yeah.
team, and it filters down into the
That's
organization when they
good.
can see us on stage, that we actually have fun together, we trust each
Yeah.
other, we
Yeah.
can tease each other,
Yeah.
we can also be relaxed together,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
all say the same things. We support the same agenda. We talk to the same things. We have one strategy. We call it Better Together,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
everything we do is surrounded by the Better Together strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And every initiative we do, no one has their own strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all one strategy,
No
and
hidden
and and
agenda.
that is
Mm.
that is also
That's
a role
amazing.
that he expects me to take, of course.
That's amazing. I'm sure it's not easy for like a newcomer to the company to establish yourself in that team and play that role. Probably was not one of the most easy things to do.
It's been hard work,
Yeah.
but I don't think I actually found it difficult.
Mm.
I think I've prepared through the last many years both to be really broad in my profile, but
Mhm.
also be really deep in my
Mhm.
profile.
Mhm.
And because I, as a person, have a strategic mindset,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
easy for me to step into his shoes and
Mhm,
say
mhm.
what's important on your plate, and how can I ensure that you take the decisions that makes you most successful, but also communicate in the right way. It's his communication is so important. We usually talk about, or we sometimes talk about that when the CEO says something, it's like having a megaphone, right?
Yeah,
And
that's a good
even
one.
if
I
you
haven't heard that before, but it's a good one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
if he's in a meeting with someone in the organization, if he says something, it's like he's screaming it. Not that he is right, but it just has such a big importance and impact when he says something, and
Yeah.
people really take him serious, which they should. But that also means he really needs to be focusing on how he communicates, and even the smallest things
Yeah.
can either make things go in the right direction or derail things.
Yeah.
And I of course also need to ensure that I give him enough information and sparring and catch him both in what he does well, and also when he sometimes needs to adjust. Because I usually say the CRO role is the loneliest job in the world, right? No, you don't know anything unless someone tells you.
That's so true. Yes.
So he's so dependent on people
Mm,
telling him
mm.
what is the truth, right? And he's luckily very curious, and he is also on his self reaching out also to people in the organization, but he needs people to help him
Mm.
with information and sparring, and of course he's looking for me to do that, and I find it easy. It's a natural thing for me to be the coach. I naturally. Um, speak the language of business,
Mm.
and it's natural for me to participate in the strategic work. So I wouldn't say it's been difficult. It's been hard work to
Yeah, yeah,
understand
yeah,
concept and understand the
yeah,
leadership team,
yeah,
and get to know my own
yeah.
organization and the transformations. It's been quite a journey, but it's not been difficult as
Mhm.
such, because it's natural to me to take the role,
That's
and that's
nice.
maybe also a reflection I've had. You asked about taking on the CHRO
Mhm,
role.
mhm.
It I think it's a pretty good fit for someone like me, and I know I'm happy I took the step.
Amazing, amazing.
Mm.
That's pretty cool. Sophie, when we pivot a bit from uh, the first two roles that you were talking about and to your third role, the one of heading up the PNC organization, what are the current projects or the current ongoing main topics that you have in your organization that you are driving actively forward?
Mm. When I joined, I of course talked to as many people as I could, and based on the assessment I did in the organization the first 2 months, I made 5 commitments,
Mm.
you could say, to the business, and those are still valid and will stay through the strategy period. And they have different initiatives or activities. And the first two that I've been focusing on the last 11 months, and will conclude, not that they are finalized, but we are ready to move on. The first two was kind of, I call it brilliant basics. We
Mhm.
needed to establish the operations in a way where we support globally with the standardized
Mhm.
offerings. And the other one was establishing the business partner team as
Mhm.
trusted partners. So they were kind of the first steps. So the other three that I'm now moving into
Yeah.
is more about how do we then take more strategic steps to employee branding, engagement activities,
Mhm.
people development
Mhm.
activities, and also the talent management
Yeah,
activities.
yeah.
Those will be the next steps. And here specifically, more on how do we support globally. So how do we
Mm.
do talent attraction globally? How do we ensure that we also utilize that process to the employee branding activities,
Mm.
because that maybe previously we've um, mostly used external vendors,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
that can be efficient sometimes, but we lose out on the opportunity to also use it as an employee branding activity.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
those are activities, and then creating career paths that are visible, and we have activities supporting is also going to be one larger project. And then, of course, the we are right now also implementing a CRM platform, the
Mm.
Oracle implementation, and that is also a project that should not be underestimated.
Mm-mm.
You can see
Absolutely not.
doing all
Absolutely
that,
not.
right? Yeah,
This is quite a busy agenda.
it is. It is.
That's
It is, but
amazing.
it's
Yeah,
the things that the business need, and then the last one
yeah.
that is also going to be big is a leadership framework.
Mm,
We are looking also to ensure that we understand the journey that the
yeah,
business are
yeah,
on. What leadership capabilities do we
yeah.
need for the leaders to help us on that journey, and how do we then ensure that we have processes to uh, train those skills, hire for them, promote for them,
Mm.
and support the business with the skills at the right place where we need them.
The what and the how, and particularly,
Exactly.
how do we want to show up as leaders? How do we want to lead the organization? That's brilliant.
Mm.
What I
Yeah.
found interesting, Sophie, that you shared, when I think about those five and the first two that you shared, I immediately thought like, one is on one end, the other one is completely on the other hand of the spectrum,
Yeah.
right? And you basically made sure we can deliver the basics.
Yeah.
And on the strategy side, you looked into, okay, let me understand and let me build this up, because all of this will inform what I have to do on those things in between, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, but talent will be difficult, particularly. I mean, it's great to be in a growing organization, but talent these days is really difficult to get, especially if you
Yes.
need specific skills. Wow. So with the branding approach and then a CRM, it's definitely the steps to take. Oy, oy, oy. But that's quite an agenda.
It is. It is. But it's really exciting, and I think we're at a good place. We have a good reputation, maybe particularly in the Nordic countries where we are
Ah,
mostly known,
yeah, yeah,
because we are famous, you could say, for having a very social and employee friendly profile.
yeah. That helps.
And
Yeah,
I'm really preoccupied with keeping that in this growth journey,
yeah,
because I think it's a huge asset also to attraction and
yeah,
retention.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Sophie, let me pivot a bit, right? To the two core elements that I'm writing and talking mostly about in my posts and podcasts are HR technology and employee
Mm,
experience. And
mm,
we have talked about this in the past, but with your new uh, job, with your new experience, want to revisit this conversation with you and hear about
mhm,
how you think about it now, right? The employee experiences talk about this first. It's far from being new, but still, I don't think there's the one definition of what we mean, right? When we talk payroll, everyone knows exactly what we mean, but employee
mm,
experience can mean a lot. So,
mm.
how do you define employee experience at Camstrup?
I don't know if I've as such made a clear definition, but the way I think about
Yeah.
it is that I think our role is to ensure that we look at the entire life cycle.
Mhm.
So that we take a stake in how do we ensure that people are ready before they become an employee,
Mhm.
know that we take a stand on the experience of being an employee
Mhm. Mhm.
in our company, and also in the onboarding, in all the events that happens while they're here, and also when we exit them.
Mhm. Mhm.
And what I'm trying to look at is how do we ensure that it is as easy as possible to be an
Mhm.
employee in Kampstrup,
Mhm.
as beneficial for your career and
Mhm.
your well-being, that we
Mhm.
consider whole people, so that we also ensure we look at not just your development but also your life circumstances.
Yeah.
How do we create offerings during your employment where you feel that we take a stake also in you having a life
Yeah.
outside of Capstone.
Yeah.
And we also look at it from a branding perspective. We want people to be proud when they go out and say, I work for Camstroke.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want people to say, oh, we've heard that Camstroke really are big on water.
Mm.
You support the world on the green
Mm.
transition. But also, we know that Camstroke really takes good care of their employees, or that we are volunteering in different
Yeah.
areas of the
Yeah.
world to support catastrophes,
Yeah.
or so I kind of look through the entire palette and say, how can we play a role in employees really feeling it's easy, I develop, and I'm proud to be part of Camstrup, no matter if I'm starting or leaving or within Camstrup.
Amazing.
So we have different initiatives, but this is how I look at employee experience. And the tech side is for me a tool to make it easy
Mm.
and to make it scalable and ensure that I hit both the 1,100 people I have here in Stilling, but also the 6 people I have in South Africa.
Yeah.
And tech can be a supporting part
Yeah.
here on giving a similar or more easy experience,
Yeah.
no matter what you do and where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's stay there, Sophie.
Mhm.
When we talk about tech, we have to talk about AI these days.
Yes.
How do you think about AI and HR? How do you think about in the reference of Kamstrup? Are you utilizing AI already in the HR space? Are you thinking about it? Are you having pilots? What is your view on that?
Mm. We are definitely interested in it,
Mhm.
and we are also encouraging people to use it
Mhm.
and on a user level
Mhm.
so far.
Mhm.
And we also
Personal
offer,
productivity.
prompt engineering courses, training,
Yeah. Yeah.
etc. But we are looking to say, how can we take the next step?
Mhm.
And we actually just decided to recruit a couple of interns from that educational area, and
Mm.
they will
Very
not
smart.
be they will not be working on which kind of solutions, because we have that in digitalization and
Yeah.
they are working on that.
Yeah.
But what they will be doing is assessing the business on where do we have opportunities.
Mm.
So I want a list of opportunities,
Mm.
and then we can have our digitalization and everybody else coming up with what are then the solutions. But we really want to push the agenda by maybe doing this assessment to see
Yeah.
what are obvious areas where we should be utilizing this.
That is a brilliant idea, Sophie, and I have to say I haven't heard this before. Uh, I have heard companies trying to figure this out on their own. I have companies, getting in the big BCGs and McKinseys. Your approach is quite refreshing. How did you arrive there?
It was actually the idea of our CEO.
Mm,
He's really big on young talent, and he's focusing on how can we utilize that,
yeah,
newest knowledge they come with, and they are native to these
yeah,
areas,
exactly.
right? So bring them in and give us that information. And sometimes they might come with ideas that we're nowhere near being able to utilize, but just having them giving us that refreshing point of
Yes.
view. And it's actually not just within AI. We actually take rather large batches every year of interns and
Yeah,
student workers,
yeah.
larger than I've ever seen in other
Wow,
companies. And
amazing.
we are utilizing that knowledge in the organization, just as well as we keep people for long. So we have people
Mm,
with really long seniority. We also have quite a big pool of young talent, because we truly believe that they bring something to the
yeah.
company.
That's a
Mm.
kind of this reverse mentoring approach, right? That was
Yes.
was coming into the game a few years back. Um, do you already see the first results of this, or has this initiative just started? I'm curious. This
It
is
it has
fantastic. Yeah,
just started.
yeah,
It has just started. But what I'm seeing is, alone the fact that we are now communicating, we're doing this,
yeah.
actually makes people focus on the area even more,
Wow.
because they know it's priority, right?
Yeah.
So ideas are coming up, and people are also starting to see, because we already have quite a few systems that offers different
Hmm.
opportunities
Hmm. Hmm.
within the AI area. And what we're seeing is that people are becoming more aware that we already have solutions that we could maybe utilize even more. So I think it will be growing, and also at the end user.
Hmm. Hmm.
We're right now talking a lot about being in camp, but we have a lot of customers that are utilities and end user users of our products.
Yeah.
And also here we will be seeing, I think,
Yeah.
that we can benefit from that.
This is brilliant. Sophie, honestly, I have to ask you, once you are having the first results, can we jump on again? I'm curious how it
Absolutely,
works. You don't have to share
absolutely.
any
No.
specific results, but the overall, I'm really curious. I think this could be a model really for others to follow, because it
Mhm.
is refreshing. It really brings uh, in new ideas, fresh minds. that probably are wondering why the heck we are doing the way we do and not utilizing what is already out there, right? So it's amazing. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, brilliant. Talking about tomorrow, while we are on it already. When you think about, you know 3 to 5 years from now, you're almost ending your first year. The next 3 to 5 years, What
Mm.
what is the ideal picture of where you want to be in 3 to 5 years with your PNC organization, and what's your plan to get there?
So the company is growing and preferably maybe doubling in size, but we of course hope that we will not double the amount of employees also, because we hope that of course we will have some efficiencies in that journey. But I do foresee that my organization needs to become even more global.
Mm.
And I also see, if we look 5 years out, I also do see that I hope that some of the operations we're doing today will have become much more simple. Today is still a little bit handheld,
Mhm.
but we have the opportunity of installing processes that can be automated, and maybe also using AI solutions to a large
Yeah,
extent.
yeah.
So what I'm hoping that in the future my organization will be doing more of is the development and partnering strategic piece, and that operations will still stay and it will be important, but it will be simpler.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and since we all look into scarce resources, I also foresee that my life will be easier looking to the more strategic roles
Mhm.
than finding the people that
Yeah,
want to sit and do the operations.
of course. Yeah.
And then I also hope, besides being global, I also foresee that the areas within where we're working will probably also be more around digital
Mhm.
topics. So it's strategy, it's digitalization, automation, and then it's of course strategic
Yeah,
partner. Yeah.
yeah. Amazing. Sophie, I'm not sure if you have had a look at the clock, but time is flying when you have fun. And I committed to you a certain time, so I think we need to slowly come, unfortunately, towards the end of today's session. But I won't let you go without one or two final questions, if I may.
Hmm.
When you think about a similar question that I just asked, just outside, when you think about PNC HR in general across the next 3 to 5 years, how do you think our function will change or not change in the next 3 to 5 years? Do you think it will stay as it is? Will it look dramatically different? What do you think? How will HR look like in 3 to 5 years in more general terms?
In Kamstrup, I don't think it will be dramatically different
Yeah,
as a function.
yeah,
We will still be a function. We will still be facilitating the business. We will still be focusing, I think, a lot on employee
yeah,
experience,
yeah,
on processes, because employees will continue to have those needs.
yeah.
It will be a lot about supporting leaders,
Hmm.
helping leaders, growing leaders, assessing leaders, and finding the right
Yeah,
leaders, I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
So in as such, I don't see any larger changes. Some companies do go in a direction where PNC and digitalization kind of melt
Hmm. Hmm.
together. Um, and maybe we could at some point in time also be in a situation where that could happen in Camstrup, but I think Camstrup is right now at a place where, when I look 3 to 5 years out, I do foresee that we will continue to stay as a supporting function.
Hmm.
But time will tell.
Yeah, to be fair, I think if we would have, like, 5 years back, we were in the middle of COVID, right? Yeah, it was,
Mm,
and I
mm.
don't think anyone would have imagined where we are today. It was
No,
so far away. So let's see. I mean, 2030 is
yeah.
another a landmark milestone. Let's see where we are. And
Yeah.
Sophie,
But
final.
one
Yeah.
thing that does stay
Yeah.
is that we deal with humans, right? And
Yes.
humans will continue to have the same needs,
Yes.
maybe in a different way, but it will not go away that people overall have the same needs as an employee and as a person, right? And I think we will continue to have the job of supporting our people
Yeah.
in their journey
Yeah.
on their careers, both privately, but also, of course, as an employee.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They won't go away.
Absolutely. And it should never go away. This is what we are
Mhm.
there for. Yeah. Sophie, one last question. Coming back to the today, the three biggest challenges that you see and have today, and how do you approach them?
So the biggest challenges we have is, from my personal perspective in Campshop, is to take the steps, the big steps on the digitalization
Mhm.
journey for PNC specifically. We don't have the systems landscape today, I think, to support in the best way.
Mhm.
We need to
Mhm.
get there. So we have programs, and I'm working closely with our digitalization organization on creating that roadmap to ensure
Mhm.
we get to that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's one. As a business, rather, it's of course finding the talents we need.
Mhm.
We are in a tech and software environment, and we're all fighting for the same
Yes.
talent. We are living in a place that's not the worst. We're
No.
close to larger cities.
Not the worst, Sophie.
Could be worse, right?
Yes.
But it
Significant.
could also be better. We just acquired a company in Copenhagen, and we are
Mhm.
looking to say, okay, are there specific profiles that we think we need to find there
Mhm.
rather than where we are,
Okay. Mhm.
or in other countries, right? So, and that brings me to the third one is the globalization journey,
Mhm.
because Kamstrup is a very Danish company with the advantages that it gives in regards to culture, leadership style, employee engagement, etc. But we are on a globalization journey, and we need to become more global. And what we see is that it's a little bit difficult to make those steps to really become present in other geographies.
Yeah.
So having the first person or the first two persons are always a little bit inconvenient. You need to start being more online. You need to speak more English. You need to establish functions, and they need to have a place to be. But we need to push that agenda
Mm.
to become more global, to be more present where our customers are. So that's the third one that we're really supporting is the globalization journey.
Thanks, Sophia. And on the last one, I'm curious how you go about this. Are you building up locally, or are you sending out people from the center to then build up locally so that the culture can be transferred? How do you go about that?
We want to build up locally,
Mhm.
and but what we also do is that we are a little bit flexible on sending people out from Denmark,
Mhm.
maybe on a 2-year
Yeah,
contract,
yeah, yeah.
to kind of
The
infuse a little
seed.
bit of culture,
Mm.
solve specific tasks. But we do want to build up with local
Yeah,
management as much as we can.
great. Sophie, thank you so much. It has
Thank
been a
you.
wonderful
It was a pleasure.
conversation. Thank you for your time.
And see you in 6 months on the AI piece.
Let's do that. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.